Living alone, especially as you age, is often painted as an experience of peace and freedom. You can move at your own pace, make decisions without having to consider others, and build a life that is truly yours. And while there's some truth in that, there's a deeper side that most don't see until they live it themselves. It's not just my story, it's a mosaic of experiences shared by those who have walked this path before us. And the journey isn't all smooth or easy, but it's real, and there's beauty in that. Let's talk about the parts of living alone that aren't always talked about. Yes, you have control over your time, but it's the quiet moments that can become both a blessing and a challenge. Being alone doesn't mean you're lonely, and there's power in embracing solitude. Alone means you've got your own space, your own rhythm. But loneliness? That's something else entirely. Loneliness creeps in when you feel emotionally disconnected, longing for company that seems just out of reach. When you're alone and start feeling that pull of loneliness, it's more than just an emotional state. It can impact your health if left unchecked. But you're not without options. You can take small steps to fill those spaces with purpose. Whether it's reaching out to friends, trying new activities, or even discovering a new passion, there's always a way to turn isolation into connection. The beauty of this journey is that it's yours, and while the silence might feel overwhelming at times, it's also a canvas for you to create a life that reflects who you are now, not just who you've been. You have the power to shape your days, fill your world with meaning, and remind yourself that you are worth the effort and care just as much now as ever. Number 1, need backup plans. One of the most unexpected truths about living alone in your later years is realizing that you are your own safety net. There's no one nearby to catch you if something goes wrong. The stories I've come across are real and serve as reminders. People who fell and weren't found for hours, sometimes even days, simply because no one was checking on them regularly. One person on Reddit shared how they started carrying their phone everywhere, even into the shower, just in case. At first glance, it might seem excessive, but it's a reality worth considering. It's not about living in fear, it's about being prepared. When you're on your own, you have to think ahead about how to stay safe. For some, wearing a smartwatch or using a medical alert system brings peace of mind, especially if they live in a more remote area or don't have neighbors close by. It's a small step, but it can make all the difference in continuing to live independently, confidently. One story that stuck with me came from a woman in an online forum. She installed an emergency key lockbox outside her home. If something ever happens, trusted friends or family can enter her house without breaking a window or waiting too long. It's a simple idea, but one that can offer incredible security. Living alone doesn't mean giving up control or freedom. It's about taking charge of your well-being. By making these small preparations, you can continue to enjoy the independence you've built, knowing that you've thought ahead for any situation. Number 2, think about cleaning the house. As we age, there's one thing that quietly creeps up on us: housework. No one really warns you about how tiring it can become. What once felt like small, manageable tasks now seem like mountains. Simple things like cleaning the gutters, mowing the lawn, or even vacuuming start to drain energy in ways they never used to. I've come across stories from many older folks who admit they just let some chores slide because they couldn't muster the strength or motivation anymore. There was one woman who shared how she kept a list of home projects, all the things she wanted to get done, but that list kept growing while her energy to tackle it all dwindled. It wasn't that she didn't care about her home. It's just that, facing it alone, everything felt overwhelming. But here's the key: acknowledge that it's okay to ask for help. Maybe it's hiring someone to handle the heavy lifting or asking family and friends to pitch in now and then. There's no shame in admitting that we can't do it all ourselves. And if your circumstances allow, think about downsizing. A smaller space means less to maintain, fewer things to worry about, and more room in your life for what really matters. Life isn't just about keeping up with chores. It's about enjoying the moments we have, the experiences that light us up. By letting go of what overwhelms us, we make room for what truly makes us feel alive. Number 3, loneliness can be a real struggle even for introverts. Living alone might seem like the perfect setup for an introvert, and in many ways it is. The quiet, the freedom, the space to just be with yourself, it's all part of the appeal. But even for those who treasure solitude, there are moments when loneliness creeps in, especially as the years go by. I've read countless stories of people whose social circles have shrunk over time. Friends move away, retire, or sadly pass on, and suddenly the world feels a little emptier. Meeting new people feels harder, and the casual, everyday interactions we often take for granted, like chatting about the weather or what's for dinner, start to disappear. One elderly man shared how he went days without speaking to anyone. He loved the freedom of living alone, but the absence of those small conversations left a void. For some, the answer to that loneliness has been the companionship of a pet, a loyal dog, a quiet cat. These creatures offer more than just company. They bring routine, responsibility, and a sense of connection that fills the silence. I remember one woman saying, "My cat doesn't talk, but he's always there when I walk through the door, and that makes all the difference." It's not about replacing human connection, but finding comfort in the simple presence of another being. Whether it's a pet or reaching out to loved ones, it's a reminder that even in solitude, we don't have to be truly alone. There's always a way to bring warmth and connection into our lives, no matter the circumstances. Number 4, cooking every day is difficult. Living alone as you get older is often painted as a picture of peace and independence, a life where you set your own rules, free from obligations and interruptions. And yes, that freedom is undeniably real. But there's another layer to it, one that you don't fully understand until you're living it yourself. Over time, I've listened to the stories of many who've walked this path before me. Their words echo across forums, conversations, and personal reflections, offering a glimpse into the less discussed realities of aging and solitude. It's not always easy, but it's not something to fear either. It's just the truth of the experience. What you might not hear in the rosy narratives is that living alone comes with challenges, unexpected moments of quiet, deeper reflections on life, and sometimes an awareness of the things we take for granted when we're younger. It's a journey many have walked, and while it's not without its hurdles, it's one you can navigate with intention and heart. So, let's dive into the parts of this journey that people don't often talk about and explore how you can not just face them, but thrive through them. Because living alone isn't just about getting by, it's about making the most of every moment, shaping a life that feels right for you, even when the world gets quieter. Number 5, live positively with good daily habits. One thing that shines through in so many personal stories is just how much daily routines can mean when you live alone, without a partner or housemate to share the ebb and flow of life with. Your routine becomes your anchor, your steady rhythm in a world that can sometimes feel unpredictable. It's those simple, quiet habits that bring a sense of peace and purpose. I remember reading about a woman in her 70-year-old who said she starts every morning with the same song as she makes breakfast. She plays it not just to break the silence, but to infuse her space with energy, a small ritual that makes her feel alive. Another man shared how watering his garden in the evening gave him more than just a chance to tend to his plants. It became a moment of reflection, a sense of connection to something bigger, a rhythm, to end his day with intention. These moments may seem small, but they are the threads that hold your days together. They offer a kind of control, a comfort in knowing that no matter what happens in the world outside, you have these personal rituals to return to. And there's something deeply beautiful in that. Don't let anyone tell you that having a set routine is somehow limiting or dull. In truth, it's these very moments that make living alone so rich and meaningful. They're yours moments that remind you of your strength, your autonomy, and the quiet joy of simply being in the present on your own terms. Number 6, the quiet can be both a blessing and a curse. Silence is one of those things that catches you off guard when you start living alone. It's not something people talk about much, but for those used to the constant hum of a busy household or the routine noise of a full-time job, that quiet can feel overwhelming. Suddenly, the house feels too still, especially in the evenings when everything seems to slow down. Some people find peace in that stillness, embracing it like a long-lost friend, but for others, it feels unsettling, even a little lonely. I remember reading about a woman who couldn't stand the silence while doing her chores, so she started leaving the radio on just to fill the air with something familiar. Another man said he listens to podcasts all day just to hear the sound of conversation, even if it's not directed at him. It's those little tricks, music, audiobooks, the TV humming in the background that can make the quiet feel less heavy. But here's the thing, that silence, while it can be challenging at first, can also be a gift. For those who've spent a lifetime surrounded by the noise of others, it becomes a space for thought, for reflection, for recharging. It's in the stillness that you might rediscover parts of yourself that got lost in the hustle of life. So whether you need a bit of noise to get through your day or you're learning to savor the quiet, it's all part of the journey. This silence is yours to shape, a blank canvas where you can decide what fills the space. In that, there's a kind of freedom that's both empowering and calming, offering you a moment to breathe, to listen to your own heart for a change. Number 7, tips for beating loneliness. If you're experiencing loneliness, it's time to make a change. Try these tips for managing loneliness and living your best life. Think about what triggers your loneliness. Does it happen when you hear a certain song on the radio? When you smell a certain aroma? Do you feel lonely on certain days of the week? Does weather affect it? Getting a good grasp of what is causing you to feel lonely can help you stop feeling lonely. Find positive activities to fill those empty spaces. Try a sport or physical activity. Did you golf years ago or ride your bike? You may want to give that another try. Doing something enjoyable that gets you out and about can help you feel better faster. Give your diet an overhaul. Certain foods just drag you down. Sugar is a huge culprit. Opt for fresh, natural foods when you can to help you feel better. Do a word puzzle, crossword puzzle, or brain games. Keeping your mind active is not only a healthy part of aging, but it can also help alleviate the depressive fog of loneliness. Grab a buddy, either in real life or online, and have a little friendly competition or work the puzzles together. You'll feel your spirits lift in no time. Take a walk to get some exercise. Being physically active is good for your mind as well as your body. Walking is a great, low-impact way to get your heart rate up and sweat a little, but there are other ways as well. You can take a class, join a gym, or get a friend and do some simple workouts together. Think about getting a pet. A dog or cat is not a replacement for humans, but they can be very good company, especially when you are feeling down. Get some sleep. Everything looks better after a good night's sleep. Loneliness can cause you to have sleep problems, which only makes you feel worse. By finding ways to get good, restful, restorative sleep, you can combat feelings of loneliness and depression at the same time. Try something new. Think of some activities you always wanted to try but never took the plunge. Now go out there and give them a try. Learn a language, take a class in wreath making, or try your hand at baking. The possibilities are endless. Connect with people. Find ways to be around people, whether you take some classes, visit your area's senior center, or volunteer. Living alone as you age brings both peace and freedom, but it also unveils layers of life that many don't anticipate. Yes, you have control over your time and space, but there's a deeper journey beneath the surface, one that requires thought, preparation, and embracing the balance between solitude and connection. The beauty lies in your ability to create a life that reflects who you are now. By taking small steps like preparing safety measures or fostering meaningful connections, you can continue to live with confidence, purpose, and peace. If this journey speaks to you, make sure to subscribe to the Change Your Tomorrow channel. Together, we'll explore the realities of living alone and how to navigate it with strength and grace.